Hello, it's Nikki, and welcome back to episode 3. Today, I've got some big questions around your life and business blend. And I think that, especially at this stage in life, adulting, it's really important to understand them separately because who you are in life is maybe similar to who you are in business. There will be some commonalities, absolutely. But also, you are not a robot in the way that you work 9 to 5 or you close off completely and then you have evenings and weekends. I don't believe for many of us, especially if we are working for ourselves, that we have that very clear line in the sand where we don't think about either of the things alongside each other. For example, people talk about the Sunday night scaries. It can really, if you're not enjoying your work or if you're stressed about something with work, it can be really easy for that to affect your life. Equally, when you are having a tricky time in life, to then not take that into your work or have that as a background consideration can also be difficult to manage as well. And so when we're thinking about super strengthening your personal brand, I really want you to understand what it is that you want right now in this time, in this season going forward. Because I think sometimes we can be a bit outdated with our thinking. And that's not to say we have to start from scratch and everything is like zero upwards. I think it's just about being very deliberate in the way that we do things. Almost as though if I wear a dress now, and I've still got them in my wardrobe, if I wear a dress now that I bought in 2014, and it's before I had 2 children, doesn't quite fit the same. I am the same size that I am, but it just feels like an outdated version of me. It doesn't feel like this version of me right now. And so when I think about this in terms of business, I think we need those updates as well, like what's happening, what's going on. I remember that moment in 2023 where both my kids were at school, and that felt like a huge jump. And actually it took me about a term to really settle into this new version of myself. Like, how am I going to spend my time? And because there's always that settling in period, I felt like I was still like doing all of the things, but it took a period of adjustments. So I want you, when you're thinking about supercharging, super strengthening your personal brand, I want you to be brave enough to go with it. Now, what I mean by this is if you are watching this, I think you have a sense there's more for you. There's something else that you want. You're maybe not done. You haven't reached your peak. You haven't been able to achieve it all. And so, therefore, I would love you to make space for yourself, to ask big questions, to really understand yourself and what's going on. And this may be difficult because it feels brave and it feels unfamiliar. The thing that your brain wants to do is to always done the things that it's always done. And so once you start carving out time for different things, it can feel a little bit unsettling. Equally, it's often easier to stay the same, to do what you've always done. And even when it's not something you want to continue with, it feels much more dangerous in terms of your brain's capacity to explore other avenues. Another reason why I think it can be difficult is that very rarely do we speak to people who say that life is fantastic, are really exuberant about things like everything is going really well. I love my family. I love my friends. My business is really thriving and booming at the moment. moment. And even if we met that person, I think that human instinct of ourselves would kick in and we'd be like, "Oof, they're a bit much. They're a bit full of themselves, aren't they?" Because somehow there is that sense that as a human, you shouldn't get too comfortable. You shouldn't get too happy because something might change. And so therefore, we end up putting up with and just being grateful for the stuff that's okay, but it's not amazing. And so what I would love you to do is to get used to asking for more. Sometimes we don't explore the more because we don't know how we're going to make it happen. It feels completely out of reach. It feels like a stretch. It feels confusing. It feels like we wouldn't know the first place to start. And so therefore, all you need to do here is to work out what you want. When you are doing these exercises, if you get little glimmers, little flickers of like, oh yeah, I'd really like to do that thing, that's for you to take notice of. It doesn't matter how you're going to bring it all to life just yet. We'll get to that. All we need to do is figure out the first step. Finally, you can do hard things. Glennon Doyle talks about this all the time in her podcast, and I think it is so true. So often we see these reality shows on TV, don't we, where people go, I'm really ready for a challenge. I want to push myself out of my comfort zone. Because I think so often, through often circumstance, we can get stuck in a box, in a rhythm, in a way of doing things. And actually what we need to do is see what's possible, stretch ourselves, see if we can fly in different scenarios. Because life is short, we are supposed to feel good. People are watching us all the time. I've really had that recently with my kids. You know, when they come home from school, they want to know what I've been doing. They want to know what I'm working on. They want to know if I'm challenging myself. Like something happened the other day where something landed that I'd really wanted for a while. And my son was like the first person that was so proud and he was so excited and he was like, yes, well done. This is brilliant. This is so, so good. Also, when we are in that flow, when things are feeling really good, where we've got that blend, we actually end up creating more energy. And when we have more energy and capacity, we can create more impact. Finally, when we're clearer, there's more of a strategy to follow. We're not using energy all the time to figure it out. And finally, it means that we can rest more and we can play more. So, to end this episode, I want to ask you this. What do you want? What do you want? What is your version of success? What's important to you and what are you striving for? What do or who do you want to be? What is the identity that you are absolutely ready to step into? And on the flip side of that, what therefore feels outdated? What is your version of the dress from 2014? You've changed shape, you've changed preference, you've changed capacity, what you want to do. I would love to know from you. I hope that's been useful today. Lots of love, and I'll see you next time. Bye.